Oh, it is a wet and windy day out there. Autumn 2024 in the northwest of England. Yeah, not nice. Anyway, I thought I'd do a quick video today, hopefully quick, see what happens when I edit it. But I bought some of these Fisch Brad Point bits because people recommend them, and because I don't have a good set of Brad Point bits. They make these in two materials. There's the chrome vanadium ones, which are cheaper at about 50 quid for the set, and then there's this one, which is the HSS one, which is about 70 quid for the set. I can't remember what Rockwell hardness they say it's hardened to, maybe 62 or something, something reasonably high. So I know HSS covers like a whole range of manufacturing things, but apparently these Fisch Brad Point bits are decent. And I meant to leave a cleaner hole, so I thought I'd do a quick test because I've been using normal twist bits, but Cobalt ones. So I bought this Milwaukee red Cobalt, they call it, but just Cobalt basically, set of twist bits, and this was about 50 quid. So between the two of these, that's 120 quid's worth of drill bits, so you know, not cheap. And the reason I like Cobalt bits is it's kind of one bit that does everything. It does wood, it does metal quite well. Cobalt does metal quite well. Don't really need sharpening very often. I've just been really happy with Cobalt bits in general. But because I redid my drill press, I thought, you know, maybe I should get a good set of Brad Point bits for wood. So let's give it a go and see. The test I'm going to do is drilling through. I've got some 18mm ply, I've got some MDF, I've got some pine, and I don't really do much with hardwood, but I've got some walnut there just from when I did the drill guides thing. And I'm just going to drill through unsupported and see what the blowout looks like on the back. And I'm sure there are going to be people in the comments saying that's not a good test. You can't expect any drill bit to not have blowout on the back, and that's fine. I'm expecting blowout. The thing is, like, you know, I know that if you want no blowout, you should support the piece on the back. You should be drilling through with something underneath like that, so that then in this 18mm ply you wouldn't get blowout because you've got something underneath. Of course, what I would say to that is, even with this crappy set that I got from B&Q before I was ever into woodworking, you know, cheap as you like drill bits, I can get clean holes on the back by supporting it underneath. So why would you ever pay for expensive ones? If you can use the cheapest drill bits you can find in B&Q and still get a clean hole on the back by supporting the wood underneath, why bother ever buying the expensive ones? Surely the expensive ones should be able to do more than that. They should be better. They should leave cleaner holes. And whilst going through unsupported is quite a difficult test for any drill bit, and I grant you that, I can't think of a better one really. So I'm just gonna give it a go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 2mm, 4mm, 6mm, 8mm, so 4 different sizes, 2, 4, 6, 8, and I'm going to do the Milwaukee on one side of these pieces of wood and the Fisch on the other. I'll do multiple holes of each size. I'll do like sort of four or five holes at each diameter for each brand, just to avoid one-offs. And let's have a look and see what they look like. Okay, first the Milwaukees, and I'll do 5 holes with each one. I'll try, I might not have room on the walnut. But yeah, so start with the 2mm, 4mm Milwaukee, 6mm Milwaukee, and the 8mm Milwaukee. I just remembered that up to 2.5mm for the Brad Points don't actually have a Brad Point because they can't machine them that small. But I've started the test now, so I'll carry on and I'll use the 2mm anyway, see what the comparison is. Okay, 2mm Fisch, even though it doesn't have a Brad Point, but we'll compare anyway. So just purely on a twist drill bit comparison, because this 2mm Fisch doesn't have the Brad Point, is nowhere near as sharp as the Milwaukee one. It was taking twice as long to drill those holes. But anyway, let's carry on. 4mm Fisch, which does have a Brad Point. So from now on, all the Fisch bits do have Brad Points. 6mm fish bit, the 8mm fish bit. Alright, one quick observation there. In addition to the 2mm bit, which didn't have the brad point being much less sharp than the Milwaukee bit, the other observation is all of the brad point bits, it was much harder going through the MDF for some reason than with the Cobalt bits. Not sure why. Anyway, let's have a look. Alright, here's the results. I've marked up the sides for the entry holes and the exit holes. To be honest, I'm not seeing a huge amount of difference between them. Let me flip them over for the exit holes for you. I mean, I would say all of them have done better in the hardwood. So both the Cobalt bits and the brad point bits have done better in the hardwood than any of the others. I would actually say that the Milwaukee, the Cobalt bits, have done cleaner exit holes in the MDF than the brad point bits did. And I did feel like I was having to push the brad point bits harder in the MDF. They were not cutting through the MDF anywhere near as cleanly as the Cobalt bits. Here it is in the ply. I'm not sure there's a great deal of difference there between the two, to be honest with you. They all look pretty similar to me. There's some clean exit holes, but there's plenty that aren't. Yeah, the walnut, they're all better. But like I say, that's not a distinction between brad point and twist bits. They've all done the same there, the Milwaukee and the Fisch. I'll just go back to the entry holes. Again, not a huge difference there in the ply, I wouldn't say. Fisch entry holes slightly cleaner at the larger diameters and actually at the 6 as well. So slightly cleaner entry holes from the brad point. The MDF, again, the entry holes slightly cleaner from the Fisch. Well, actually no, I suppose there's a fair difference there in the MDF. The entry holes are cleaner, but the exit holes are worse. So interesting, because I was having to push harder, so I suppose it makes sense. The pine, that's the exit holes, there's the entry holes. I suppose the entry holes again for the Fisch, slightly better, slightly cleaner. And then the entry holes on here, yeah, I'd say the entry holes for the Fisch bit slightly there. So I suppose the overall observation there is that the entry holes on the Fisch, slightly cleaner, but it's not night and day, is it? I mean, look at that, you know, I wouldn't say that's a perfectly clean set of entry holes. I haven't sanded these, I deliberately haven't sanded them so that the test is straight off the thing. You know, even in MDF, not a totally clean set. So yeah, the Fisch entry holes are a bit better, and some of them, both of them did okay in the hardwood on the exit holes. And I'd say most of the exit holes are pretty similar, to be honest. As I said, you know, perhaps it's an unfair test, because if you're really serious about getting clean exit holes, you're going to support the piece from underneath. But like I said, even my cheap set of bits from B&Q that I bought when I was just needing stuff for DIY, you can get perfectly clean exit holes with those. Don't need to spend 70 quid. Have I wasted my money on the Fisch bits? I don't know. I mean, I didn't have one set of bits that went all the way up from like 1 to 13 in half sizes, although the Milwaukee set does go up to 12 in half sizes. Truthfully, I'm not sure I'm going to get a huge amount of use out of them, like over and above what I would just from those Cobalt bits that I've got, the Milwaukee ones. For me, I still think, you know, if you're looking for value for money, it's Cobalt bits, because they do a great job. And you can use them in metal as well. Those brad point bits can't be used in metal. And yeah, you've got the brad point, stops the bit wandering, but all you need is an awl, brad awl or a gimlet, make a little indentation, and it works fine with twist bits as well. So, you know, 50 quid for those Milwaukee bits, to me, does seem like better value, to be honest, than those Fisch bits. But I don't know, see what you think. I'm sure lots of people will go in the comments and tell me that I've done it wrong and that it's a terrible test. But like I say, if I want perfectly clean hole, I can get that with a cheap set of drill bits just by supporting stuff from underneath. So what's the point in the expensive ones then in that case, I guess is my question. I'm sort of loosely aware that there are different brad point bits for softwood and hardwood. I'm sure somebody's posted on one of my woodworking groups about that before, but you know, this is ply, MDF, pine, and a bit of walnut. I'm not seeing any kind of huge differences that justify the price to me, to be honest with you, but I've got them now, I'm sure I use them, but yeah, this might be interesting to people, it might not. Maybe people have got some really good points about stuff I've done wrong. Let me know.